11:22 a.m. Good morning. Second day of Christmas, I would say. And it's amazing lady here in the studio. She is a familiar voice on TraXX FM. Allow me to introduce again Miss Yasmin Rashid. Good morning.
Good morning, Sophia.
Merry
nice
Christmas.
To be back. Merry Christmas.
And in case if it's just the first time listening to Yasmin here, she is the founder and president of EcoKnights, and she is also the vice chairman of the Malaysian environmental NGOs, better known as Mango.
Correct.
Yes. So we're going to talk about 2017 in review when it comes to all the efforts that's ongoing when it comes to preserving our environment here in Malaysia and, pretty much Asia itself. So in a nutshell, how has the year 2017 been for the environmental sector in Malaysia? Please tell us.
Well,
Yasmin.
thanks, Sophia. It's really hard to summarize quite a lot of happenings this year. But on the top of my mind, several key environmental issues are a bit of a spillover from 2016. The bauxite issue is still being addressed currently. And I think what is really positive about this unfortunate incident to the people of Pahang is that the federal government is trying to tighten certain regulations on mining to make sure that regulations are being honored and to also curb corruption and abuse of power within that industry.
Right.
So I hope this is a very positive way forward to make sure that I think we all agree that development is a necessity in our country. It's necessary, but development must be done in a mindful manner, not to harm the lives of people and the environment.
Yeah.
So I think with this unfortunate incident of how bauxite was done the last 2 years, we're progressing positively to look at how we can minimize more impact on the environment and people. So that's on the mining side.
Yes.
I think the next few years, it'll be interesting to see how the country charts the course in addressing sustainable mining as well. Another key issue in 2017 was really the rise of the voices of the communities.
Yeah.
If you're aware of the Taman Tun Rimba Park issue, and also I think somewhere up in Ampang and Cheras, there's also communities trying very hard to strike a balance with local authorities to protect green spaces. And I think it's a very important element to keep us reminded that green spaces are actually quite important for people.
Yes.
We're not talking about your small taman and all that, but, spaces where you still have pristine rivers flowing. And I think this really attracts the younger, nucleus family as an opportunity for you to go out and enjoy nature. So I think there will be more issues like that happening in Kuala Lumpur as we try to balance between, development, condominiums, landed property, and the need for green spaces for communities.
At least some sort of a lush greenery is still going on, right? In the heart of the city.
I think we have been lots of studies saying that, the greenness around you helps you mentally, physically, and socially as well. So we're getting there. We're looking at getting more. Communities are more aware now. With the internet, you can look all sorts of information up there and why you need to protect these green spaces.
Right.
So it's an interesting situation to observe.
Right. So communities are joining hands, towards, they know the aim and they're working towards it. But how about organizations, authorities? Perhaps are we all actually in line towards the same agenda? Do we actually see eye to eye? Based on what you see this year so far, do you think that in that part, do we still need a lot of work to be done?
There's always a lot of work in that department, but I think I see a lot of openness in government agencies and acceptance of how NGOs can complement or support the efforts of government. I think that is the new set of mentality we need to drive through. Being called non-government doesn't mean we're anti-government. Being called non-government means we're actually closer to communities, to, in terms of our proximity to the issues. And I think this new wave for NGOs, they're much younger in terms of the people running it as well. Yeah, it's good to see young Malaysians leading a lot of really good NGOs here. And the approach is a lot different. I think we're more on the basis of working together to address harmony or sustainable development. So I think in the city center, this is more prevalent. Maybe because of the
awareness,
and maybe it's more progressive.
Yes.
In the outer sides of Klang Valley, I like to see more dynamism. Maybe the NGOs need a bit more help. Maybe the local government or local authority need a little bit more training and skills capacity. There are many factors to it. But I do hope that whatever that's happening in the city, for all its goodness, will trickle out to the other smaller cities so that we can grow together.
Right. So that's the general overview now. Now, what we mentioned as well here, what's been done is the signing of the Paris Agreement. So what other accomplishment has Malaysia achieved this year in respect to better protect our environment that you feel should be recognized, should be actually, lauded for such a great effort?
Well, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment has tabled a bill on access to biological resources, which basically is a law that protects the rights of indigenous people and the resources that are around them. I believe this is a very, very big step forward to be, put forth in the parliament, to be accepted. The interesting aspect now in the next few years to see how the ministry will operationalize it. I think we have some of the best policies in the world, if not in the region. I think one of the critical things that we are always on the lookout for is how do we implement it well, and how do we monitor what we implement so that we have a report card, and a report card that we can all have access to, so that we all understand that yes, the government needs to take a lot of lead roles, but it's the people that need to support it.
That's true.
Yeah. And the bridge between people supporting it and the government taking a lead and making massive national initiatives is the role of media, and also how effective the government uses communication. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I think we have some of the best experts in the country.
Right.
Now is to marry everyone together to look at how do we drive a very sustainable nationalistic message through. So next year's a big year. We've got election coming through.
Yes.
We hope that some of these issues that the environmental NGOs bring up will be heard and can be materialized. And I just want to send this out that I think many of us are very excited to look at sustainability in the country in the next few years.
Right.
So the Economic Planning Unit has launched and published our Sustainable Development Goal Voluntary Report, basically telling the world what part of the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, that we are going to embrace and work on. So the report is out. Again, the next step would be how do we then look at supporting EPU in this work to make sure what the report mentions that Malaysia, the country is going to do, we're going to follow through as well.
Right. So that's
a lot of
definitely
follow-throughs.
one thing. A lot of follow-throughs. So, policies are policies unless it's until it's actually implemented well, and doing the next step to it when it comes to enforcing it a lot more.
Yeah.
Now you're the vice chairman of the Malaysian environmental NGOs. So based on your observation of all the NGOs, coming together based on a unity and perspective about certain things and how to actually manage different aspects of areas, yet being in line with the same agenda and objective. How is it so far that you've seen?
I think for me in general and for the organizations I represent, this year has been skyrocket high engagement with government agencies,
right?
Because we're closely working with certain government departments on rivers in the city center, and also waste management, which are actually two key issues which continuously needs to be driven through. We're still not really obedient and disciplined with how we manage waste. Can I put it that way? And
habits are hard to break.
Yeah, because of our negative habits on the land, from waste to not managing our food waste properly. It affects our rivers to a very large extent, which eventually affects the entire city.
Yes.
So seeing this linkage and driving this message to the community to be observant about this linkage is critical. At the end of the day, people want to know, what can I do at home, right?
Yes.
Actually, there's a lot. But then now the next step is, how do you incentivize them? And then we live in a society where we like incentives.
Yeah, you can avoid that, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there are certain incentives that needs to be driven through. But still, there's a lot of mechanisms that need to be trial and error at this moment, and I really hope we can pick up the speed for it.
Right. so that aside, because that is definitely one, I would say, long battle that we have to go through to actually
necessary battle.
Yeah, necessary battle that everyone has to be in line and understand the efforts and initiatives behind it. But on your personal note, on your personal achievements in championing sustainability and protecting the environment for yourself, what's your most proudest moment that you can think of right now in this year?
Changing the way I eat.
Changing the way you eat.
Yeah, I find that a good change. I mean, I've been doing meatless days from, it used to be just Mondays.
Okay.
But now I do more frequently. And I cook less meat at home. My portions as well, I control it for my family. So the idea is to kind of just reduce wastage from my house. And also from a health perspective.
Right.
And this whole thing about how the meat industry is and so forth is slowly creeping up to me. And I find myself really trying to drive this message through to my kids as well.
Right.
So I personally, and I don't recommend this for everyone, but I personally don't really eat seafood.
Okay.
I'm by nature, I'm a marine biologist, and I've had the opportunity to do quite a lot of exploration on the marine seafood.
I'm sure.
And I've kind of stayed away from it as a personal choice. And I hope that what I do as a practice influences my colleagues in the office to at least, try to do that. One really, really proud moment this year, my entire office is on board, is we're saying no to straws.
Okay.
So we've all bought our bamboo straws and stainless steel straws. It's still very frustrating when you go out and you say, "Tak nak straw," and they still come with a drink with a straw. But I think from that frustrations, we just have to persevere and just make it a norm to just say "tak nak straw."
Yeah, right. I mean, it has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious. Based on you've been going meatless. In terms of health, how do you sustain that? Because I'm sure some Malaysians, how do you live without meat? I'm sure there are people like questioning that. But on health-wise,
carnivores. Just kidding.
You cannot deny, but there are a lot of carnivores.
My husband's one of them. He can't live without meat. So
yeah.
Can you imagine the challenge I have at home?
Yeah, you have to cook twice, or probably 3 times. So in health terms, do you feel more, cleaner, stamina-wise? How do you cope that?
I'm not sure if it's psychological, but I feel lighter.
Okay.
I feel less sluggish.
Right.
So I don't take carbs, rice, or much meat for lunch.
Okay.
Normally it's just a simple salad bowl. And I feel, of course I snack in between, like snacks like fruits and biscuits, but I'm sluggish is definitely something I can see a big reduction.
Right.
I can't biologically explain how. Maybe it's psychology as well. You feel like you're eating more vegetables and drinking more juice, and so you mix yourself mentally more
healthy. Yes, a bowl of salad today for
lunch. If
lunch.
that's what it takes, it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the willpower, isn't it?
Yeah.
By the end of the day.
So I go by my body signals. If I crave for meat, I eat meat.
Okay.
I won't make sure there's a meat dish in front of me. I'm that kind of thing, and I think I'm able to tell what my body needs.
Okay.
And there are days where I actually need meat, and I think I sense it's my body saying that you need meat-based protein, not
you need more
plant-based.
iron or protein.
Yeah, maybe iron. Definitely vitamin B or something.
Yeah, it's a very refreshing, perspective that you're sharing with us today, Yasmin. But let's take a short break to allow our listeners to digest what's been going on in 2017 and probably review their food choices at the same time.
Yeah.
And in case if you're wondering, I'm speaking to the very lovely Yasmin Rashid. She is the founder and president of EcoKnights, also the vice chairman of the Malaysian environmental NGOs, better known as Mango. Do not go anywhere. This is TraXX FM. Welcome back to the second part of the interview. This is TraXX Eco Buzz, and I'm still with Yasmin Rashid. She is the founder and president of EcoKnights, also the vice chairman of the Malaysian environmental NGOs. Now, Yasmin, we've talked about a little bit of the overview, what we should understand, about this year and how the efforts are like. But on your personal experience, what's one of the few fond memories that you can think of right now that you like to share with our listeners? And it comes to, perhaps able to actually inspire them to make better choices next year, perhaps. So what actually gave you that really fond memory that you can think of right now?
Well, I think one of the fondest memories this year in terms of doing the work that I do in environment would be reflecting back at how small changes are being seen and experienced in my team. The organization, I'm the eldest. Everyone else is the millennial generation.
Oh, wow.
And these are the next generation that's going to lead the kind of efforts that EcoKnights does. And it's really impressive to see that I'm staring and watching at a generation that's very capable, very passionate, very driven, most importantly, very innovative and creative.
Right.
I feel it's a real blessing to be given an opportunity to work with such amazing people in EcoKnights. It's my honor, actually, to have them as young graduates actually apply to be in the NGO sector, to feel inspired and motivated to make that difference. So my fondest memories are definitely of my team members. It shows a sign of hope. I mean, ideally, at some point, I'll be obsolete, my approach or my nagging, if you want to call it,
The way you make it sound, right? I saw you really like that. No, you're far from it.
I see the young generation and I look at my 16-year-old daughter and I think, I feel hopeful. I feel hopeful that they can lead. They can lead the programs that we've designed, and they can go out there and make that change. So my fondest memories are definitely of all these young people's faces, making individual change and hopefully national change.
I'm sure you're a really nice person to work with, Yasmin. I mean, like, if I'm your team member, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love her.
So I tend to nag a lot.
I think when we turn mommies, it becomes natural,
right?
right?
The nagging mode comes on.
But jokes aside, throughout the year, were there any incidences whereby you were at the receiving end of a random act of kindness or your faith in humanity has been restored, especially in regards to your advocacy? I mean, human to human kind of, perhaps if you meet a stranger or anything like that, it actually made you feel like, hey, you know what, there's hope. There's faith. And apart from your team, I mean, is there...
Yeah, I think this year was a lot of soul searching for personal development.
Yeah.
After being in this sector for 2 decades, you always need some injection of new ideas, new thoughts, and new motivation. So this year was a burnout year, but it was also a built myself up back here.
Wow.
And I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to actually find a coach. So I'm going through a lot of personal development, growth kind of initiatives. I found my tribe.
Right.
So my tribe, we don't see each other that often, but the tribe currently is my main pillar. And I feel like at this junction in my life, leading multiple organizations and being, past 40, you need a new jolt of inspiration. You need a new calling,
Okay.
So on that, it's a lot of soul searching, and I'm still on that journey. And I hope that I can grow to be a more stronger person, a more impactful person in this journey that I've crafted.
You're such a Wonder Woman already. I mean, it's just amazing that you have this.
But sometimes something personal, I mean, you do things to get things right outside.
Yeah.
But you realize to get things right outside, you gotta heal and get yourself right.
That's true.
So
I gotta go to some soul searching too, Yasmin. Wow, but yeah, it's actually really true. I mean, any changes, big or small, it has to start from yourself first before making
a bit of clarity in your work and your direction.
Wow, I hope that actually inspired me, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm just gonna, make 2018 a soul searching year for me.
It's gonna be a good year.
It's gonna be a great year.
Be a great year.
So with this year drawing a close, just like probably a few more days from now, what are your personal hopes, your dreams for Malaysia and Malaysians, especially when it comes to protecting the environment and sustainability? Any different approaches coming to the brand new year? Or are you just going to hustle on with the same approach and make sure that, everyone's going to get it?
We've got to move from old approaches. My dreams, hopes, and aspirations for Malaysia as a nation is to look at some of our sustainability initiatives or environmental initiatives independent of, if possible, politics.
Right.
I think sustainability, environment, livelihood, sustainable economy is for the betterment of all Malaysians.
Definitely.
For our future.
Yeah.
And I hope that we can plan and work on these great policies that we have without, a lot of political influence. And I think that is the key to making things unsustainable, because it changes. It's too fluid. So I hope we can set those differences aside.
Yeah.
Political differences aside, because clean air, water, good streets, clean rivers
belongs to everybody.
Belongs to everyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we make man-made boundaries for political reasons, right? So for governance. But let's look at the whole environment as one, and we as servants to the environment, and how we need to look at working across all our differences for that betterment. So I probably will say the same thing again next year and the years across, but I think this message needs to be driven through so that the young will see the benefit of setting our differences aside.
Very strong, simple yet very strong message right there, Yasmin. And it's such a pleasure knowing you, and such a pleasure speaking to you.
I always see you here with me as well.
But for our listeners, our general public, or anyone who's listening to you for the first time, do you have any messages, anything that you'd like to convey coming to the brand new year?
Yeah, I think if we can all do a little bit of small reflection on ourselves. It's I'm not asking. It's a tall order to ask you to change your habit or behavior drastically, but there are little things we can do as an individual that can make a big difference. So, falling back to what I said, if you're a massive straw user, it's time to maybe say that not straw. If you're the kind that likes lights in everywhere in your room and you're not in the room, I think it's a bit to be mindful.
Yes.
When to switch off certain lights when you're not in use. Eat healthily, know where your food comes from, consume with care. Lastly, 7 billion people on this planet. We all have dreams and goals.
Yes.
But we only have one planet.
Yeah.
So it's very, very important if we look just at one aspect, consuming with care.
It's just
That's all.
It's just a matter of looking into small little details, being a bit more mindful. And that's actually all it takes, just to think before we actually do anything, isn't it?
Yeah, because we tend to think that, if I don't do, other people also won't do, or people don't do it, and what's the point of me doing it? But
if I do it but we don't see it, then for what? It's not
it for yourself.
True. Exactly that. And for no one else but yourself and your generation and your future kids. I guess that's the way to go, isn't it? I wish you all the best for 2018, Yasmin.
I wish you too, Sophia. Have a nice break.
And happy holidays to you. Up soon, really soon. Have a great one.
I need a break.
I think we all do. Thank you so much once again from all of us here at TraXX for joining us today. And I hope you're going to have a wonderful brand new year, of course.
Yeah, Sophia, Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much. And of course, I was talking to Ms. Yasmin Rashid. She is the founder and president of EcoKnights, also the vice chairman of the Malaysian environmental NGOs, better known as Mango. So that ends our session of TraXX Eco Buzz today. Be sure to not go anywhere. We'll be with you all the way to 2 p.m. right here on TraXX Momentum.